y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky, to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now has the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off picture roll. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hen. My special recipe, I call it a Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever.
Duval! 1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. It is a holiday week, after all, and Dylan Denmark tells us, Tony, that was the call that Holiday made last year, basically, before the Jaguars went to Houston and knocked off the Texans. Well, they're coming to our neck of the woods now, baby.
Yes, they are.
Look out, fresh off a loss to the hated Tennessee Titans, and here we go. Time to get on a 6-game roll down the stretch. Don't you feel it? You feel it? I don't know. Kind of?
No.
No? You have a good weekend, Pockets?
Oh, dude, Saturday was the best day ever.
What happened Saturday?
Man, I went to the Gator game. They got the dub.
Yes.
Then I went to a barbecue place in Stark, Sonny's. And I'm sitting at the bar.
You may have heard of it. It's called Sonny's.
Yeah, I went to Sonny's.
And I'm
sitting at the bar, and they got the Clemson and the Citadel playing. I'm like, yo, can we get a good game on? They're like, if I give you the remote, you good? I was like, perfect. So, man, I had the remote for like 45 minutes.
You posted up?
Crazy games. Yeah. And then Sunday, did a little bit of golf, and that was about it.
A little bit of golf, a lot of bit of White Claw.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. All right. How'd your weekend go, Tone?
It was good.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that.
No?
No.
No White Claw?
No.
Usually you and Dylan get together with the White Claw.
No, did none of that. Bowls went on Friday night, so I'll be working again this Friday as they head over to Gadsden. They'll be practicing on Thanksgiving Day, which has become a tradition. That's kind of the mark of whether or not your high school season really went well. Are you practicing on Thanksgiving Day? And so Bowls will be practicing again on Thursday. I'll be heading out to Gadsden on Friday for that game. Had some friends come over on Saturday. Yesterday, I was watching Red Zone.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I've never been a Red Zone guy in the past, but I've got that whatever it is, NFL Plus, where you can go back and rewatch the games. It's just because I haven't had Red Zone at the house. You know? And we don't.
Yeah.
Why get it? Because we're not home that often,
right?
To enjoy it. It's even once it hits the 4:00 games, it's like loses some of its luster because there are only like 3 games going on.
Especially yesterday, there wasn't much to
kind
it,
of black,
and none of the games had anything to it. Like the 1:00 games were awesome, but the 4:00 games not so much.
There were some good ones. I don't know what to make of where your Jacksonville Jaguars stand. Coming out of this weekend, Tony, the Indianapolis Colts didn't let Detroit just go up and down the field on them. I mean, they scored plenty and they won the game, but wasn't an embarrassment, an all-time franchise worst for the Colts defense.
No, the Lions punted on their first possession yesterday.
Shocker.
Which is already a massive
Apparently you're
improvement.
allowed to stop them.
Yeah, over what happened last week. I did find myself with watching what Tennessee did to that Houston team yesterday. I did find myself, I don't know how Jaguars fans would feel about it, right? What exactly they're pulling for down the stretch here.
Right.
We've asked the questions about how many games you think they're going to win. We asked the question last week about, what are you most looking for over the course of the last 6 weeks of the season? Like this kind of thing. We've asked those kind of questions, but I think if you take it outside of Jacksonville specific, right? Like what would Jaguar fans like to see happen? Would they like to see the Texans caught? Right? Even if it is by the Colts, it's going to be by somebody in the division if it's not going to be the Texans.
I can see them wanting that.
Right, because it's not going to be the Jaguars. But do Jaguars fans right now really want to see the Texans run down by the Indianapolis Colts and just not be back-to-back division champs? Because every time I've had the opportunity to watch C.J. Stroud this year, I've been like, he's fine.
He's okay, right? And a part of it is his protection has been not good in the games I've watched this year with Houston, and that can impact any quarterback out there. I find it hard to believe that this Colts team can run anyone down, though. I just think they're kind of as meh can be.
Yeah, and it would be as much about Houston is just not playing very well down the stretch. I mean, they're 7-5 right now. They don't look great. You can't be great and lose to Tennessee at all. Like, if you are a team that thinks you're great, you don't lose to that Tennessee team, right? But they lost to that Tennessee team yesterday, and I think there is a little bit of that. I don't think Houston's very good. I don't think Indianapolis is very good. I think if the Jaguars were any good, then they'd have an opportunity to win the division this year, but they're not. I'm not saying that they should make a run at the division this year. They obviously can't. They've created too big a hole for them to accomplish something like that, but I do wonder if Jaguars fans would just like to see somebody besides Houston win the division this year just so that they don't have that back-to-back thing.
Well, we had a whole offseason about C.J. Stroud is the next big thing in the National Football League, and he's the guy, and it's over now. Jags had their window, and it's slammed shut because C.J. Stroud has arrived in town, and he has a talented roster around him.
He does.
And, offensive line play has been suspect, but he was suspect yesterday. I'm sorry. C.J. Orlovsky, you ran out of the back of the end zone and a crucial point towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
I hope that sticks with you for the rest of your career.
Yeah, those 2 interceptions he threw, we know because we listen to people talk about Trevor Lawrence. If he makes either of those plays, they kill him forever.
Sure.
Right? Like on those plays.
Unless you're Tiki Barber.
Right. They're terrible, terrible, terrible plays. And they're terrible plays for C.J. Stroud too, but I doubt nationally he's going to get that kind of heat.
Hey, look, Carolina is miserable, right? If you, I find it hard to believe you wouldn't take the Jags roster running away over the Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. And there they were in overtime with Kansas City yesterday.
They were.
And they've won 3 games this year. And, and some of it was going back and forth between Bryce Young and Andy Dalton. But, I mean, look.
Bryce won 2 of them.
Would have been a nice one for Carolina to get for the Jags' fortunes. I'm out there rooting for all the bad teams to win because we're not going to the playoffs, right? No. One loss is going to eliminate the Jags. The Jags are still technically alive in the playoff race. I don't know what crazy amount of permutations you'd need to put together because I know if they win out, I did that. If they just on their games, it only rises to making the playoffs 1 out of 5 times, 20%. It's even amazing to me that at 2-9, the Jaguars, if they won out, would have a 20% chance to make it to the playoffs.
And I think a lot of that speaks to what we were just discussing. The South stinks.
It does.
Right? Like, there's the possibility if they went out, they could still, on some crazy chance, win the division, right? But that's only 1 game less than won the division last year.
Right.
That's not so far off the mark of where it's been in the AFC South. And I'm watching that Houston team. I don't think it's going to be way above 9. I don't think the target for winning the division right now is way above 9 in 2024, but we'll see.
Well, it can't be way above 9.
No.
I mean, they're running out of games at this point in time.
Hopefully the Jaguars have something to say about that this weekend. That would be fun.
We shall see. I mean, and that all goes into what you want down the stretch. Mm-hmm. I think it's 2 different piles here. Is Trevor Lawrence playing? Is he not playing?
Sure.
Because I think if Trevor Lawrence plays, I think people want to see him do well, perform well, build on something for the future, build that chemistry with Brian Thomas Jr., whatever the case. If he's not playing and Mac Jones is out there, it's almost like, what's the point, right?
Sure.
And that's not for everybody. I'm not trying to speak for anybody, but there is a lot of that sentiment out there, and it's totally understandable to me. I mean, that's how I'm watching football right now. Tennessee won. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Give the Jags breathing room against that team at least. Here's the problem. The Giants and the Raiders are committed to the process now, right? The Giants are going to do everything they can
no bones about it.
to lose out, right? They took their starting quarterback and they demoted him to 4th string in the span of a week and were having him playing scout team safety before they released him. And then they elevate Tommy DeVito because he sells jerseys or something? I mean,
he's got a cool agent.
Is that what it is? Maybe. I don't know. I did think, Baker's little two-handed DeVito gesture, the little, hey, I thought that was, I don't know. It just,
he did it too quick. It's like he needed to slow it down a little bit.
For people to appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. People are going to celebrate how they're going to celebrate. I'm not really going to get into whether or not the Giants should be offended by that, but we should be offended by the job that they are doing chasing the number one pick in the NFL draft.
They're in the hunt.
They're definitely in the hunt. We're holding them off for now, Tony, which is great based on our weak strength of schedule relative to the Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders. At this point in time, Raiders lose Gardner Minshew. Not that he's great, but Aiden O'Connell may be coming back this week or Desmond Ridder. How many games is that combination going to win down the stretch?
I do wonder, what effect it's having in the Giants' locker room. That they're handling it the way that they are. Slayton apparently was all kinds of torn up that they were letting Daniel Jones go. Like when that news came out, there was all kinds of stories out there about Slayton being very upset about it. Malik Neighbors yesterday, he's being asked questions about why he's not making more plays. And he's like, well, they didn't throw me the ball till it was 30-0. What do you want me to do?
Is perfected diva already.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, I don't think what he's saying is untrue.
No.
Right? But, hey, Rook, maybe just know your place a little bit, but hey, whatever. Again, is it true or not? Yes, I don't know if they didn't throw him the ball at all before it was 30-0, but his point was they really didn't focus on me. Look at last year. They never let DeVito throw the ball 30 times in a game, I don't think. So this is how they're going to play. And Dexter Lawrence said something after the game about, hey, I wasn't trying to run Daniel Jones out of here, and so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think, some of that where the veteran players are looking at it like, hey, man, I may not be here in 2 or 3 years to be part of this rebuild. I'm here to win football games, and you're not treating the season like that. That's their problem, though. And the Giants and the Raiders breathing down the Jags' neck at the top of the hypothetical NFL draft order right now is where it would be. Jags on top. But for how long, folks? Which of these Jacksonville Jaguars, your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day, whose contracts all run through next year, is the most likely to still be with the team beyond next season? This is our question of the day. You got 4 players here at various points in their career. Got a couple of guys on rookie contracts right now. Got another guy who's a big free agent signing a few years ago. You got a veteran in Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse, by the way, is not ancient by NFL standards. He's just older. I could see Mitch Morse playing several more years in the National Football League. But Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Devin Lloyd, Mitch Morse, those are 4 guys whose contracts all currently run through 2025 with the Jags. They would be free agents in 2026. So which of those, and you might not think any of them will be here, but just who's the most likely to be here still beyond the 2025 season in Jacksonville? Mentioned Tiki Barber in passing there. Apparently now we're going to start hearing the stories about how, hey, maybe if the Jags are picking at the top of the draft, they'd like to reset at quarterback. Yeah. And they could take Shedeur Sanders or whoever the apple of their eye happens to be. Let's go trade for Trevor Lawrence now. So we'll discuss that phenomena coming up. If you want to talk Jaguar football with us, there are a lot of ways to do it. By the way, David Garrard on assignment today for this Thanksgiving holiday week. The ways to do it include 641-1010 on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up in the YouTube virtual studio chat, or you can hit us up on social media as well at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
All right, so let's get into it. Jags coming out of the bye week. What do we expect down the stretch? What do we hope for down the stretch? And what do we see into their near future as well? You're listening to Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Happy holiday from Holiday.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL.
This is the last play of the game.
After the game, join Hacker, Leon, and Coach Campo for the Window World of Northeast Florida 5th Quarter. Presented by Von Rowan Lawn and Hurricane Grill and Wings. 2 hours after the final whistle on game day on 1010XL.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
Nope.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Movember is Men's Health Awareness Month, so take charge of your health and vitality at Ackerman Urology in Mandarin, Middleburg, The Beaches, and Whirl Golf Village. For prostate and urological needs, trust Ackerman Urology. AckermanUrology.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah & Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.
Dreamfinders Homes, Monday
on Jaguars Today.
The last thing you want to be dealing with this holiday season is a septic emergency. Plan ahead and schedule to have your septic tank pumped out now. Our wonderful team at Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services is standing by and ready for your call. We'll get your septic tank pumped out right away, giving you one less thing you have to worry about this holiday season. Check out our reviews online and give us a ring today. 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769 or duckduckrooter.com.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank NA, member FDIC.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
He used to cover the Jags. Now he's a CBS Sports senior NFL writer.
Well, I believe you got everybody's attention.
He's Pete Prisco. Friday afternoons on The Frangie Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles on 1010XL.
Are you ready to upgrade your home? Experience the winning combination of style and performance with Renewal by Andersen. Energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Right now, save 20% on your entire project. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months. This offer expires November 30th and restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613.
The experts at AMCO have been fixing cars for almost 60 years. Over that time, they've gotten more complex than ever. That's why our techs undergo rigorous training and certifications, so they can fix anything, including the most complicated repairs that come with some of the latest technologies. After 60 years, there's nothing we haven't seen or fixed. It's how we know cars inside and out.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia.
You don't have to be
be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
These are interesting economic times. That's why it's so important to have someone you can count on. That's ITP Partners. Jacksonville folks taking care of our Jacksonville money. Experience? You best believe you want to give your hard-earned money to folks you trust. Jeff Hartman, Chris Bryan, Dan Abel, Reed Wingate, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reagan Wright have the expertise and knowledge to help clients in their financial lives, focusing on investment management, financial planning, and risk management. ITP Partners, financial partners for life. Securities offered through American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
I-9 Sports covers the first coast with great sports for kids 3 to 17, and winter and spring registration is open right now. New girls volleyball and flag at Duval Charter, plus plenty for boys and girls in Nocatee, too. It's all at i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's our QB. It's a David Garrard Monday on 1010XL. Brought to you by WaterboyJacks.com.
All right, DG's got the day off. Happy holiday week to all of you out there. My wife's got the week off, Tony. We'll have Thursday and Friday off, so we'll be good.
Sure.
We'll be groovy as far as that goes, and hopefully you'll get what you want out of the Jags. I don't know what to tell you, what you should want out of the Jags. If Trevor Lawrence plays, I want to see Trevor Lawrence play well and let the chips fall where they may. That's what I want to see, and quite frankly, if Mac Jones plays, they're not going anywhere with Mac Jones, and I hope that solidifies where they stand, right? And you know what? I'd love to see him play well and come up just short, quite frankly, right? I mean, that's being honest with you. I mean, we're close enough now to the end of the season where, and you're not making the postseason. It's still rooting for the Jags in the sense that I look at it.
Yeah.
I root for the Jags. I root for them to win a championship. I don't just root for them on any given day. If winning in one given day can have a negative impact on the path to a championship, and look, granted, you still got to make the right picks. You can have the fourth pick, and you can be better than the guy who was the first pick.
Yeah.
But it gives you that opportunity, particularly if you've got fresh eyes in the front office, which I have no idea if we're going to have.
Yeah.
We made it through the bye week. No changes around here. Who knows? Who's to say what happens if the Jags go 3-3 down the stretch? What Shad Khan's going to opt to do with this front office and this coaching staff?
I had just had someone on the text line that was asking, he was looking at the rest of Houston's schedule, and they're trying to imagine that, they could lose all those games, right? It's like, all right, well, they'll be here in town on Sunday, so that might end this week. The idea of Houston losing all those games.
Would you be shocked if the Jags beat Houston?
Not completely.
If Trevor Lawrence played, put it that way.
Yeah, not complete. If Trevor plays, I think they got a shot every week, right, to win. And that's why it's been so frustrating. They've been close a lot. They just haven't come through in a bunch of those games. But Houston has Jacksonville this week, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and then they finish the season at the Titans.
Right, and they just lost to the Titans.
They just lost that. So if you say they're going to lose all the rest of their games, right, and what does that scenario look like for the Jags? Well, if the Jags were to win out and finish with the same record, they'd both be 8-9. At that point, the Jags would be 5-1 in the division. They'd win the division. Yeah, if they won out and Houston lost out, yes, they would win the South in that tiebreaker scenario, assuming the Colts aren't ahead of them.
Well, that's the question.
Right,
where
at that point.
Can the Colts still finish ahead of them? The Colts are at New England this week. They're at Denver. They play home to Tennessee. They're at the Giants. I mean, this is pretty weak schedule.
It is. But Houston would have to have happened to them what happened to the Jags last year. Right? It just completely collapsed at the end of the season for the Houston Texans. And that's the way that they don't win the South this year. But yeah, that's that 1-in-5 chance, right? Is that kind of thing. Because that's still technically an option for the Jags at this point, then that's why it's 1-5. And as soon as we get through next week, all that'll change, even if they win.
Well, I mean, could you imagine if they then just win their next 5, right? I know how crazy that sounds, right? I'm not predicting that they're going to do that, okay?
No.
But if they did, and Indianapolis, let's say, splits their next 4 games, let's say they lose at Denver, and then they lose to Tennessee.
Could it be like the Week 18 like last year?
Could Week 18
determine the AFC South champ?
We're not trying to sell you false hope here because I don't expect a team that's 2-9 to all of a sudden rip off 5 straight wins.
No.
Okay? No matter who the competition is at this point in time, especially with the health of the quarterback so up in the air right now. And a lot of other guys as well on this team.
But it's the holiday season.
It is the holiday season. I did think that this weekend. Maybe I just need to look at things from the best possible outcome. And so,
that would be it.
Go beat the Texans, and then you'll probably still be mathematically alive for a week. I got to see it climb from that less than 1% chance before I even raise an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And so, okay, because that's where they reside right now. Nothing that happened this weekend really impacted that. But you see the opinion out there by Tiki Barber that the New York Giants should make a play for Trevor Lawrence. And I get it from their standpoint. Look, everyone's entitled. We do the same thing, right? Like, how are we going to fix our team? Let's go get that guy, right? So I get it. And we get offended. How dare you? Hands off our quarterback. And, it is funny on the one hand how some people tell, Trevor's trash. He's terrible, right? I don't feel that way. But you know what's said about him.
It. Yeah.
And here's a guy going, no, we can get back to instant respectability, basically, by going this route. Because the idea, if they do bring Brian Daboll back, and I don't know if they will, but, I mean, the Mara family said that they were going to. They said this a few weeks ago. I don't know if they're fully on board maybe with this Tommy DeVito plan. Like, they're like, hey, okay, we're going to be back. We need a new quarterback. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to tell the players to quit, to not try, but we're going to put players out there who aren't as good as some other guys. And that's just how you tank in the National Football League. But his point is, does Daboll have 3 years in him or whatever it might take to develop a young quarterback to get to the point where you're like, okay, now I can see the future with this guy and we're starting to get on a roll? Or if they stink in his first year, like, do you have to clean house, start fresh? But if you bring him back and you've got a guy that's got a lot of years under his belt and, as Tiki Barber's point was, hasn't had the consistency on the coaching staff, well, to some degree. I mean, Doug Peterson's been around, and that staff, for the most part, has been around now for 3 years.
4 years. Yeah.
Right. And it is what it is on that standpoint. I just find it interesting that, because I tend to agree with Tiki Barber, like, hey, if they're willing to move on from this guy, which I don't think the Jags are, right, then we should be interested in him. But what are you going to do if you're the Jags? Let's say you've got the top pick, and I guess their presumption is, okay, you're sitting at the top. We'll give you a bunch of picks. You can take Shedeur Sanders if you want to and restart the clock on everything. And you got all these other guys who are tied into big money contracts. I don't think I think it's a complete non-starter.
Oh, I do too. And look, I still expect that things are going to change in Jacksonville. It's just a matter of time before those things happen. We can talk all we want about them winning the last 6 and Houston losing the last 5 and what that would look like. But I don't think either of us expect that that's going to be the outcome,
it's fun.
Right, of the season that the Jags are currently in. So I expect that they're going to win 1 or 2 games in the last 6. That's my expectation for the Jags, and that they're going to be a 3 or 4 win team.
And they're picking 4th or 5th or something like that.
And they're likely going to be picking somewhere in that range, if not higher, right? Like, I think it's much more likely that they wind up losing enough to be the first pick than it is that they win enough that they'll be beyond 5, in this year's draft. So I think they're going to be somewhere between 1 and 5 in this year's draft. And if they're at 1, then someone's going to have to come work with them if it's a bunch of teams that are going to be looking at a quarterback, because the Jags won't be, right? Like, and I get it from Tiki's perspective. This may be a possibility this offseason because it seems like he has an impression, because of the people that are out there that are willing to talk about Trevor the way they're willing to talk about him. That isn't here
Right.
Right? Like, that's not the talk in Jacksonville.
It may be among
some fans. Some fans, right? But not from the organization, right? And I'm certainly nowhere near that kind of level. I would be really, really upset if they pulled off a move like that to go get Shedeur. I would be really upset.
My guess would be if they, first of all, you're not going to do it with the present front office. This front office just signed him to the deal, right? And had to have convinced Shad Khan that this is the right path and we're going to get it done and blah, blah, blah. Let's say that Trent Baalke is relieved of his duties, okay? And you're hiring a new general manager. I got to believe that part of the process
Trevor's
is
the selling point.
Right, this is your guy, right? You're coming here for this guy. Can you win with this guy? And if you don't think you can, you're probably not getting the job.
No, yeah.
Right? I don't think you're going to be able to convince Shad Khan that I'm going to come in and I'm going to rip this thing out, at the roots. I'm going to flip it completely upside down. He's had enough of that. He wants some stability now going forward. Now, stability has gotten him 2-9 so far this season. So it's not like the results have followed, but I'm with you. Look, the ideal scenario is the Jags have the number 1 pick and somebody pays them off. But there's no guarantee that that's going to you got to have a couple of competing contenders in that spot. So if you do get the number 1 pick and the Giants and the Raiders are right behind you, you got to play them off one another.
Yeah. Look, and as we know, we haven't really gotten deep into draft talk, and we will very soon.
I'm right on the brink.
Right. Like
I feel like I'm tipping over
It's
now.
right on the edge, but I will say this about it. I don't think any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft are worth trading a whole bunch of stuff to get to the number 1 pick.
No,
I just don't.
But do they?
I think maybe there's the outside chance that there's a team that may be willing to do that, but I think the overwhelming likelihood to me right now is if the Jags are in the number 1 spot, they're picking in the number 1 spot.
I don't know. I do think that there's enough with Shedeur Sanders that, especially with the connection with the Raiders, it's been speculated on that.
I'm not saying there's no chance,
if
but
you're
I think
sitting
it's
there at 3 and you only think he's the only guy, and you're going to have to go through a whole nother because he's not going to go past the Giants if they're sitting there at 2.
No.
The way the draft is currently set up, I think what's going to happen is, like, you're right, we're probably going to win a couple of games, and
they'll be picking 4th.
And so the trade scenario's out. The Travis Hunter scenario may be out, which may be fine for a lot of people. I ran a poll this weekend about Travis Hunter and got some interesting responses. We'll get to that coming up next. But that's where we're at right now. We're not setting our sights on the postseason. We're setting our sights on the offseason, unfortunately, here, and not officially there yet, but on the brink,
creeping up on it.
And I think really it all comes down to this week. Where are we at on the potential availability of Trevor Lawrence? That's the storyline for this team, and that's the only storyline at
right
this
now.
point.
Yeah,
because if you've got him, you're going to feel like, hey, we have a puncher's chance every single week.
Yeah.
There's no way they're winning enough games to matter if Mac Jones is the guy. Yeah. And if you're not going to win enough to matter, lose enough to matter.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll have any better idea of that until, look, they have the regular weekly scheduled stuff, right? And when they sent out the schedule for this week, it just said Jaguars quarterback, right, on Wednesday for the media available. Like, they don't know which way they're going with that, whether it's going to be Mac or Trevor that's going to be talking
Brandon
on
Allen
Wednesday.
with a broken finger.
Maybe it'll be something like that. But, yeah, it's very much up in the air for the football team right now, and I do think that is a big determining factor in what exactly you want to see in these last 6 weeks. We talked about it last week. If Trevor Lawrence is playing, I want to see the offense have as much success as they can have. I think the defense is bad enough that the offense could be really successful, and I still think that the ceiling's like 2 games for this team to win because of how bad the defense is right now.
All right, question of the day presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. Which of these Jacksonville Jaguars, whose contracts all run through next year but end after that, is the most likely to still be with the team beyond next season? Is it Travis Etienne? Is it Christian Kirk, Devin Lloyd, or Mitch Morse? You can vote on social media to your heart's content out there. With Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJags.com. Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Greetings from Daytona, where a band of dreamers took a strip of beach and turned it into a proving ground. The great American race, where year after year, greatness is the destination.
Drivers, start your engines, let's go!
So book your experience and soak in 500 miles of history and tradition. The Daytona 500, February 16th, 2025. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Weekends were made for sports, and I'll tell you my take on this weekend's best options. Pick it here. Watch for Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan is brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better. There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, let's talk about diamond cutting. How is the diamond price affected by the way it is cut?
Frank, that's probably the most important question asked about diamonds, because the trade-off between a diamond cut for maximum beauty and one that's not is the diamond's carat weight. You see, diamond cutters buy rough diamonds based on quality and weight. So as they cut the rough diamond, everything cut away affects profits. However, there's specific known cutting parameters, and each deviation from these means they have a heavier, less beautiful diamond. Unfortunately, a customer can't detect all those cutting imperfections. They need expert help about a diamond's cut grade. You see, for any round diamond of a particular color, clarity, and carat weight, there are as many as 10 different prices that can vary by as much as 50%. At Underwoods, we look specifically at how a diamond's cut before we look at anything else, because it's the most important factor when it comes to a diamond's beauty, and to us, whether it should carry the Underwood name or not.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Here's a special message from our president.
Thanks, David. This is Jordan Harrington, president of Royal Pest Services. We'd like to thank everyone who has trusted Royal Pest for their pest control needs this year. Wishing all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the Royal Pest family.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
Attention golfers, Hidden Hills Golf Club is an attractive destination for golfers all over the Southeast. You too will enjoy our classic Arnold Palmer design that will test your game and keep you coming back. Book a tee time at hiddenhillsgc.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan,
head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Former Jaguars linebacker Tom McManus on changes he would make for the Jags.
I mean, if you finish, what are we, 2-9? If you don't do better than 500, everybody's gone. And I mean that. If you finish 5-12, I would get rid of everybody. If you show me some fight, I'm still getting rid of people. And I'm probably getting rid of the GM because I think that's oil and water there between him and Doug. They are not on the same page. They are not. And I don't think they have been for a while.
For more of Tom McManus, check out the Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast on the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's a David Garrard Monday on 1010XL. Brought to you by WaterboyJacks.com.
All right, DG with the day off. Happy holiday week to all of you out there, and hope you enjoyed a stress-free weekend without the Jaguars to twist your guts into knots, right? Or have the game decided so early that it was a tune-out for you, like it was prior to the bye. Bye week, rest has come, Tony. It was a very tired team. They're ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm trying to pitch it like as positively as I can right here. I'm not saying it with a lot of belief in it. Doug Peterson's going to speak today at 11:30, so we may get the first word. My guess is going to be we're going to have to see.
See how it goes through the week.
Right. I don't think we're going to get anything close to definitive for Trevor Lawrence.
I wouldn't even be surprised if we don't even get it's getting close. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even couched that way today by the head coach. It's like, look, we'll see.
Yeah.
We're hopeful to have him out there, but we'll see.
Yeah, practice immediately follows, so you'll have, and then the players are off. So, I mean, by the time we wrap up for the week, the Jags will have practiced once.
Yeah.
And we'll have no real definitive clue. My guess, and this is only a guess, is that Trevor Lawrence is not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that the injury didn't heal sufficiently. And again, I have no medical training, obviously, you know, and I don't think that Trevor is pulling some power play. That's not my read of it anyway. And a lot of people have suggested, well, you know, he's going to show you if Doug Peterson's still here, if they don't clean house. How do we know that that's how he feels? Now, we can try to extrapolate from things Doug has said. You know, that the carry your duffel bag with shoulder comment, right, is one that you probably listen to if we're listening to it and going, huh. And at rate, like, I'm sure the quarterback probably feels a certain way about it. Does that mean he's going to just shut it down for the season? I think he has a legit injury.
Yeah.
And if he's able to go, we'll see where he's at. But if they don't know, like coming out of the bye week or the week of rest, if it's very fuzzy to them about his potential availability, I just think that we're going to be in a position where we're not going to see him. They're not going to rush him out there. There's no point in rushing him out there. You try to win a football game. If you lose, you're eliminated from playoff contention. And then what do? Do you shut it down at that point in time, or do you find value in putting him out there if he can play? I think there is value if he can play.
Yeah.
And do it in a way that he is at no more risk than anybody else. I think we start, you know, going forward with Trevor Lawrence, Tone, last year, season basically ended early due to injury, in a sense, right? His effectiveness ended early. He played at the end, sat the one game late, came back for week 18, but the cumulative effect of injuries impacted his play last year. By the way, I'm not saying he's perfect when he's fully healthy, but he's the best option that they have. Now, you know, it's kind of like Christian Kirk now, a couple of years in a row. Do you have to encourage Trevor Lawrence to protect himself a little bit more? I mean, Trevor's got running ability, but he's not built like Josh Allen now. You know what I mean? He's not quick like Lamar Jackson. that he can make you miss in a short area. He can outrun you in a straight line, and all that's fine if you can protect yourself, slide feet first, avoid those hits, get out of bounds when it's prudent. But he's in terms of quarterbacks, he's got a narrower frame. And as much as we sit here and talk and say, hey, Trevor needs to use that running game, his own running game as a weapon more, he's got to protect himself if he's going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a weird kind of catch-22 position. I wouldn't tell him to do that if he's able to get back on the field for the rest of this season. I would say, look, man, we're at where we're at. Protect yourself would be the way that I would talk to him for the rest of this year. And then when we get back on the field next year and you get in these games, and we're going to need you to win, right? Like at some point, we're going to need you to win. And we want you to be as competitive as you can be. We want the team to be as competitive as it can be over the course of the last 6 weeks for however much of that you'll be available to us to play, that kind of thing. But given the season situation, we need you to protect yourself in these moments as well, because we don't want you to have to go through whatever rehab beyond the rehab you're already going to have to do when dealing with this shoulder injury. If it is going to require surgery at the end of the year, I don't know if it is or isn't. Like that was something that was brought up early on. When this whole thing came up, it's like, well, if he needs surgery, should he do it now? Should he delay it till after this? It's like, I don't know what the answers to any of those are. I haven't seen his shoulder. I'm not a doctor, so even if I looked at it, I'd be like, oh, that's a big bump. Like that would be my expertise, the level of expertise I could have on any of these kinds of things. So if he can play, I think he should play. And I think Trevor Lawrence is the type of guy that if he can play, he will play. I think that's what the back half of last season showed. I think odds are pretty good that he's been fighting to try to get on the field the last 2 weeks when he couldn't play, right? Like when the decision was made, no, we're not going to let you go this week. I think both those weeks he was probably pushing as hard as he could to put himself in a position to play in those games. And the team said, no, we're not going to play you this week.
Or he knew that he was not close enough to making that a realistic possibility.
Right, but I think it would be with him pushing as hard as he could to get there, right? And I think that's what's been happening during the bye week. I'm sure it's him pushing as hard as he can to be there for the last 6 games. Whether or not that's physically where he's going to be at this week, I don't know. But I don't think that's going to be because he wants to see the coach and GM gone and he's not going back on the field until he does. I think that's crazy. I get why that idea is in people's heads because you might handle it that way if you were in the position that you could be the reason you got rid of all these people.
You don't have the consequences that come with imagining that scenario.
Right. Like that's generally not how it works in the NFL, and I have gotten no indication at all that it would work that way with Trevor Lawrence.
I haven't either because, it's not just that you'd be shutting it down on the current regime, the front office and the coaching staff. You'd be shutting it down on your teammates as well. They've still got to go out there. Brian Thomas is going out there trying to improve as a young player in the National Football League. He's risking injury. Anton Harrison's risking injury. They're all risking injury from being out there. And I'm not, again, if you can't protect yourself or you are...
There are reasons not to play.
Right. If you are, if the injury is significant enough that you risk further exacerbating it to the point where it's going to make surgery more likely or it's going to slow down your timetable for recovery or whatever the case may be, and you have something pre-existing going in, I understand the, decisions are made in that regard. But the idea of that he might be ready to go and would withhold his services, I feel like that's, conspiracy 101 out there.
Yeah.
And no matter how he feels about the coaching staff, and I can't speak for Trevor on that. Maybe he doesn't interpret those comments from Doug Peterson the way we do, right? Because we all get mad about the kind of casual way he dismisses Trevor Lawrence sometimes or is more critical of him than he's been of Mac Jones, quite frankly. And Mac Jones has been the far inferior player to Trevor. It's just a little hard to figure out sometimes. Cristiano passed this one along to me. Jonathan Jones, who's he with now? NFL on CBS said the New York Jets are hiring the 33rd team. That's a group out there that does a variety of things. I guess they're trying to be like a PFF kind of deal, right, where they've got some former executives and front office people on their staff, but the Jets are
former guys from over there too.
Yeah.
Like I think Sam and Steve went over there
From PFF over to the 33rd team.
Yeah.
The Jets are reportedly hiring them to support the team in its search for its next GM and head coach. And the 33rd team, like the search committee, will be represented primarily by former Jets and Dolphins executive Mike Tannenbaum and former Vikings general manager Rick Spielman, who, once upon a time people thought might end up in a kind of a supervisory role here in Jacksonville. Look, first of all, we don't even know if Shad Khan's making any moves this offseason, right? Hasn't yet. If there was ever going to be a bye week move made, this would have been the bye week, you would have thought, right? Losing in the worst fashion in the history of the franchise. You're 2-9. You're going nowhere. The quarterback's banged up. It's getting away from you, but nothing happened. So Shad Khan biding his time, waiting for another 6 weeks to go by? And how much will these last 6 games influence that decision? I got to believe that the decision isn't necessarily set in stone, because I feel like these guys get to the point, Tony, and I guess there's 2 ways of looking at it. Is it worth making a move now if you can't go out there and really interview other candidates?
Right.
Or do you say, if you made up your mind that a move's going to be made, do it now. Don't wait, right? As soon as you know something has to be done, go ahead and do it. And don't wait around. That leads me to wonder, does Shad Khan think they've reached the point that something has to be done with this team?
Right.
And what could influence him down the stretch? Does Trevor play? Or, for that matter, if Mac Jones plays and they go 3-3 in these last games, they're playing some bad teams. And I get it. They are a bad team themselves. But look at the Jets. Is there a worse situation right now than what's brewing with Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff going on with the Jets, that he may want out? They may put him on IR. They may outright release him, that he's been hiding injuries. There's all kinds of things happening there. That's one of the teams. It's not impossible that the Jags could win a few games down the stretch. Is that enough to influence the owner? I can't tell you.
Don't know. Yeah.
He's the only one who could speak for that. So, Cristiano's point was like, hey, pass this along. Like, you need some help identifying the next group. And that is one thing you can do. If you do move on from your coach, you can go out there and the Jets have an interim right now, and Jeff Ulbrich, I'm sure, will get a courtesy interview with the team, or maybe not, right? Because they haven't been doing a whole lot under him. But can you find a headhunter or a firm that could go out there and lay the groundwork for you right now over the next month and a half so you can hit the ground running? Again, it has to come down to the owner deciding he is going to make the move, first of all, before that even happens.
Yeah.
And after last week, the fact that we're in status quo, I can't guarantee that that's even going to happen at this point in time. All right, halfway home, if you want to get in, 641-1010 on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day: which of these Jacksonville Jaguars, whose contracts all run through next year, is the most likely to still be with the team beyond the 2025 season? Is it Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Devin Lloyd, or Mitch Morse? Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the ultimate tailgate.
You could win a weekly tailgate combo pack from Southern Steer Butcher, valued at $100. And monthly winners get a Corona tailgate tent with a cooler, chair, and collectible football. Enter at 1010XL.com.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
Firefighters, paramedics, police officers, they take care of us. And at AMCO, we're proud to take care of them. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. As an essential business, we work on every kind of car repair with flexible financing and extra safety precautions. Essential, reliable, trusted. That's the men and women who are there for us. And it's our honor to be there for them. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia. AMCO Transmissions and Total Car Care.
Dream Finders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Morse Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Morse Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MorseChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Morse Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
It's a force that can't be contained, propelled by purpose, pride, and the power to protect.
When winning isn't just the mission, it's your passion. You pursue it.
You make power plays.
Aim for fences and go for end zones.
You believe that your moment is now. At Farrah & Farrah, we deliver game day energy 24/7.
If you've been injured, put our force to work for you. Jacksonville.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Jags fans, looking for the perfect activity around the holidays? We've got you covered with the inaugural Teal Trot 5K. The race takes place outside Everbank Stadium, Saturday, December 21st. We can't wait to see you there. Your registration includes the 5K, a throwback Jaguars headband, and a ticket to the December 29th game against the Titans. Visit Jaguars.com/Teal Trot to sign up today.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Our first contestant, a stay-at-home gymnast from Jacksonville, Florida. It's Gwendolyn Pierce.
Thank you, Monty. I don't know who installed my air conditioner, but it hasn't had a tune-up in over 3 years. Am I cool?
Let's ask our expert judging panel. Judges? I'm sorry, Gwendolyn. You're not cool. Johnny, tell her why.
That's right. To keep your air conditioner performing at its best, you need a skilled technician to check your pressures, voltages, and air filters in the fall and the spring. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, our club members get 2 free visits a year to make sure that you are cool.
Can you tell me if my haircut is sexy?
You're better off not asking.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Here's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, sponsored by the Dart Bar. Florida's victory over Ole Miss was the total team effort head coach Billy Napier was really proud of.
Football in its purest form, complimentary football. Obviously, the defense was lights out. We played great field position, and we made just enough explosive plays, and we were able to rush the ball against a good front.
At FSU men's basketball, 4 Seminoles scored in double figures, and Florida State defeated University of Massachusetts in the final game of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off on Sunday. In Gator basketball, it was an excellent offensive output, especially for guard Elijah Martin, who hit 8 3-pointers in the victory over Southern Illinois. Head coach Todd Golden, despite the offense, is looking for a total defensive effort.
I thought second half, played very well offensively again. Have not been able to play 40 complete minutes defensively.
At your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, I'm Sam Nelson.
At 10:58, it's 66 degrees. Time at 10, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler, Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's our QB. It's a Stephen Garrard Monday on 1010XL. Brought to you by WaterboyJacks.com.
All right, DG's got the day off. He'll be back with us after the Thanksgiving holiday. So we're on a short week here. The Jaguars are back to their regular schedule beginning today, and that means Doug Peterson getting ready to talk to the media in about 30 minutes. So we'll get our first indication of where things are headed with the quarterback position, or we won't, or we'll get something very non-committal. I think non-committal, though, is an indication of where this is headed. Right? If I don't, I don't know, Tony, if I don't get some, there's a good chance he plays this week or whatever. I just don't know if I'm going to expect Trevor to go. I don't know the extent of his injury. And as Doug Peterson said, future surgery has not been decided upon yet. We'll see how the shoulder reacted to another week of rest.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
We'll find out. We'll get some kind of update today, but again, as we just discussed, I don't expect it to be much of an update. And if there is much of an update, then I think it would be likely good news, right? Like if there was a big update from Doug Peterson talking in half an hour about Trevor Lawrence, I would expect it would be, he's feeling good. We expect him to be able to go.
Cautiously optimistic without any setbacks, something like that.
Right, like that kind of thing. That would be the only kind of real update I would expect to get from Coach Peterson today, but we'll see.
All right, let's take a look around the rest of the NFL.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Houston safety Jalen Petrie left their loss to Tennessee in the second quarter yesterday with an apparent shoulder injury. There is some talk out there that it could end his season, but we're still waiting to see. He's getting an MRI today to determine the extent of the injury and how much time he may have to miss, but that is an interesting one, obviously, with Houston coming to town this week.
He's been playing a lot of nickel for them.
He has. Yeah, he's been an impact player for him, too, when he's been on the field. Indianapolis wide receiver Josh Downs left their loss yesterday with a shoulder injury. Carolina tight end Jatavian Sanders had to be carted off the field yesterday, was taken to a local hospital after being flipped and landing on the crown of his helmet. Sanders has been released from the hospital.
That's good.
Will be getting further evaluation. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Gardner Minshew was knocked out of their game with a left shoulder injury. Washington running back Brian Robinson Jr. left in the third quarter of their win over Dallas with an ankle injury. Detroit running back David Montgomery left their win over Indianapolis with an apparent shoulder injury. He was unable to return. Green Bay wide receiver Romeo Doubs was ruled out of their win against San Francisco yesterday with a concussion.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew apparently broke his collarbone, is the shoulder injury, and that'll end his season. And
yes, it will.
We'll see where his career goes from here. I don't know if he's on a 1 or 2 year deal.
Thought it was one, but I'd have to
I think
look.
you're probably right, right? Kind of a stopgap type situation. That's who he is. He's kind of a stopgap quarterback. He's in that quarterback at any given time, maybe 26 to 40 range, right? There are probably some guys that you'd be like, oh, this week if everyone was playing based on injuries, he'd be better than some of the starters in the National Football League, but not that many.
Yeah, it was a 2-year deal.
2-year deal.
Yeah.
So he's under contract for next season as well. But obviously, they're going to be in position to do whatever they can. We had Hondo Carpenter on of Sports Illustrated, covers the team this weekend, and, not breaking any news to understand that that's going to be their top priority, trying to figure out that position going into it. That's the thing. The Jags feel like they've got that position figured out. 2 mixed results to this point in time. But the fact that you've got people even out there, no matter how cockamamie it is, to think that the Jags are going to give Trevor Lawrence $275 million or at least commit that to him and then flip him. There are people out there trying to say, hey, what can we do to improve ourselves in a lot quicker scenario than taking a chance on a guy like Shedeur Sanders at the top of the draft?
Yeah.
Jerry Jones kind of, I felt, shut down the Deion Sanders talk a little bit because that's come up quite a bit. I mean, Jerry seems like the kind of guy, right? Because it would move the turnstiles and they'd sell tickets.
He knows Deion, obviously.
He knows Deion and has a track record with him, but was asked, would you ever consider him? Now, the fact that he even talks about it is like
a little odd.
Right? With Mike McCarthy sitting there, and he is a lame duck because they're letting him coach in the last year of his contract, which generally doesn't happen in the National Football League. And for these reasons, when you're in the last year of your deal, it's going to be a constant talking point if that guy is not going out there and leading you to a playoff berth.
If he hadn't got the contract extension by this time in that last year on the contract, odds are you're done.
Right.
And
so Jerry Jones got asked about Shedeur, and not Shedeur Sanders, about Deion Sanders, and he's like, hey, I think basically Deion's great strength is he can recruit the heck out of young guys and convince them to come to Colorado.
Yeah.
That translates to some degree with free agents, but when the NFL draft, is how you want to try to build your team. You can't just convince whatever. And I wonder how much of a power, I understand, he's a quarterback's dad. You want to put him in the best position possible. Not everybody has that kind of leverage to do it. We saw John Elway do it.
Mm-hmm.
And once he did it, I'm sure there were some hard feelings with Baltimore, the Colts back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But nobody really cared, and Elway went on to go to 5 Super Bowls and win a couple, and he's a Hall of Famer, and nobody really brings it up until the next guy who might do that. Eli Manning did it.
Eli did it. You heard some of the whispers with that with Trevor. You heard some of that last year with Caleb.
But it didn't come to fruition.
It didn't come to fruition, right? Since John Elway, it hadn't really happened. It happened with Phillip Rivers and Eli that year, and I don't know what would have actually been the ultimate outcome, right? If that trade hadn't been pulled off between the Chargers
if they said,
and
no,
Giants.
we're taking you, Eli, and you can either show up or punt for a year.
Right.
Maybe.
They drafted him and then traded him. If they hadn't been able to trade him there at the 5 spot where the Giants were, then I don't know what Eli would have done. We all would have found out what Eli would have done, right? If he had been put in that kind of position.
Or 4?
It might have been 4.
I thought they were 4.
Yeah,
Whatever.
It might have been 4. But they made that trade, and so it became kind of a non-issue as to whether or not he was going to be willing to play for the Chargers because he didn't ever have to. They had made the move before it was any kind of deal. I can understand this one with Deion and Shedeur feels like a more viable threat than any of them have been. That people have talked about here in the last several years. I thought the Trevor stuff being talked about with that was silly from the moment it got brought up. I was like, what? No. He's given you no indication that he'd be unwilling to play in Jacksonville if that's who's going to win the number 1 pick. It didn't force him to go back to school for another year to avoid Jacksonville being the team that would have taken him. By the way, it wouldn't have worked. If he had done it that way, they were bad enough to be number 1 again that year that he was a rookie, even with him, right? I get it. Those things get brought up. Caleb, why would he settle for? It's relax, guys. I know we always bring these kind of things up because there does feel like there's this kind of magnetic pull, in the national media for why would they settle for going to that team, right? They're good enough to be the number 1 pick in the draft, so they're going to go to the team that was likely the worst team in the league the year before.
Yes.
That's the position you're in. I don't want it to become a game where Deion is in a more powerful position to do this than most guys would be to do this kind of thing with Shedeur and it being his son and a guy that he's coached and all these different. I think there are a bunch of different things that go into it, but I don't want the NFL to turn into players being able to determine whether or not they're the number one pick or not. No, thank you to that kind of nonsense.
I agree, but at the same time, is it hypocritical to say, we want these players to be fairly compensated in college, right? And so along with that, they've gotten greater freedom than they've ever had, right? With the transfer protocol.
It's going to have some kind of repercussion at some point. Right. We just haven't seen it yet.
Coach signs a guy and then takes a job somewhere else, and that player is expected to stick with his commitment, or at least that had been the past. We're in a different era now, and I don't begrudge these guys getting paid. And if the backup at whatever power school doesn't want to sit and bide his time because somebody's going to drop, like the kid, this recruit up in Michigan, you see what they're saying he's going to get?
So like
$12 million is where it's. Hey, it may be.
I get it.
But is it any sillier than when they were giving $50 million to Sam Bradford coming out of college?
I know. But
not knowing if he could play in the NFL.
The NFL did something about that, though.
Sure. But we're just in the early days of this whole thing. And I think that's what makes this now more of a likely possibility. Shedeur Sanders probably made millions of bucks. Right?
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that his dad is a millionaire on top of it, right? And his family circumstance, he's not going to be wondering, where his mortgage payment is coming from.
No.
He's in pretty good shape regardless. So he, at least, whether it's him or any other modern player who's made money, can much more feasibly sit there and go, you know what? Don't draft me, because if you do, I'm going to sit out a year. And then maybe they won't, and maybe you get them to blink and you take them anyway. But I do think we're going to see more of this leverage being used. And I think that he in particular has a great opportunity because of his circumstances, more so than most that have come out in recent years, to do it. But if I'm him, let's say it's not like the Jags are going to draft him. The Giants are historically good organization, in a major media market. You're not going to get to just say, hey, I'm going to go to Kansas City and they have to get rid of Patrick Mahomes, right? You can't get that choosy about it.
No.
So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't want to go down that path. A lot of people had made the connection with him and the Raiders because he posts something on social media like God bless every time that the Raiders lose. And there's this, apparently he just does it every Sunday, and the Raiders happen to lose most Sundays. Right? No, seriously, because he did it during the first quarter of the game this week when the game was still in doubt. But people were, based on his timing of when he had been posting it, people were like, oh, well, the Raiders lost again. He wants to go play in Vegas with the Raiders. Maybe he does, for all I know, but it doesn't seem like that is anything that's going to connect the dots between them. All right.
Not really.
Let's take a time out here. We'll come back. Let's kick around today's question of the day. Looking forward on this Jaguar team. You've got 4 guys that we offered up whose contracts run through 2025. Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Devin Lloyd, Mitch Morse. Which one of them, if one of them is the most likely to be here beyond 2025, who would that player be out of that quartet? We'll look at some of your responses. Also want to go back to that Travis Hunter poll that I threw out there this weekend, which curiously got 666 votes before it closed, and not another vote beyond that. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you, 641-1010 on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. He'll cross the line into the danger zone so you can be informed from the safety of home.
Out here, it's military law, and I'm in charge of enforcing it.
His car line takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally here. Beaver's annual Black Friday silent sale. Every car on the lot will be discounted so low, we can't even show the prices on TV. Doors open at 6 a.m. Friday. First come, first served. And once they're gone, it's over. Plus, anyone who buys between 6 and 9 a.m. will get a big screen TV and $1,000 cash. Want more? We're giving away free oil changes between 6 and 9 a.m. The Black Friday silent sale only at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet. You don't want to miss this.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Jaguars Today.
You're settled into a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting.
The 1010XL restaurant of the day is Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island. Enjoy Monday Night Football with freshly made pizza, burgers, wings, sandwiches, and a full liquor bar at Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island.
Find out why soccer is the most popular game in the world and spreading fast on the First Coast.
On the Sporty Jack Soccer Hour.
Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley as they discuss the latest in the world of soccer.
Tuesday nights at 6
on 1010 a.m.
Picking here with a message from Zero Res. You gotta just love this time of the year as we reflect on the things that matter most. Families, homes, the holidays, and of course football. They're very grateful for you all, the good people of Jacksonville, and they want to thank you. So get ready for the holidays. Book today and Zero Res will clean your carpets for only $49 a room. Plus they'll give you 25% off your tile cleaning. This one fills up fast, so book now on both carpet and tile. Zero Res, fill it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Frank Franzi here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Attention men and women. If you'd like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry and receive a free hair and scalp examination and get 2 weeks of laser treatments for free. Call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Hair4me.com.
Picking here for About 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bow9. Visit Bow9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bow9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Here's a special message from our president.
Thanks, David. This is Jordan Harrington, president of Royal Pest Services. We'd like to thank everyone who has trusted Royal Pest for their pest control needs this year. Wishing all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the Royal Pest family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's our QB. It's a David Garrard Monday on 1010XL. Brought to you by WaterboyJacks.com.
All right, a couple more days. You get a break. I wonder what the attendance is going to be like on Sunday. Holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Put it this way, I really wonder what it's going to be like if Trevor Lawrence gets ruled out this week.
Between the holiday weekend and it's not like Houston draws a big road crowd, right? Like it's, I don't expect
Good. I don't want to draw a big road crowd.
Yeah, I don't expect it to be a packed house on Sunday.
Oh, I don't either. I just wonder how bad might it get down the stretch. And look, I'm not trying to guilt anybody into anything. You decide how you exercise your fandom, right? Buy the tickets if you use them. Great. If you don't want to buy the tickets, it's up to you, right? I mean, that we've never pushed that aspect of it. And I totally get it, man. You know, I saw, who was it? Somebody on ESPN. No, you know what? I think it might have been Ryan Fitzpatrick, right, from Amazon, because Cleveland played Pittsburgh last week, and he was marveling at what turnout the Browns had for a 2-win team at that point in time in horrible conditions. But it's a huge rivalry game, and there is something to going out there. I think there's Cleveland crazies, the people that do live in those environments where you have a potential snow game. People eat that kind of stuff up.
No doubt. And it's Thursday night, so you're the only game in town, you know, like that kind of, I think that has an impact on it too. You know, encouraging people to show up. And I do think Pittsburgh has a lot to do with it as well.
Right.
Right. Like, and it's, I don't think the potential for the weather in the second half hurts. Not in Cleveland, you know?
No, that was a fun game to watch.
It was.
So, from that snow globe standpoint. All right, Dylan, why don't we fire up today's 10-10 take?
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take. Brought to you by
Double checked. Cybersecurity made simple.
All right, let's pick this one apart, Tony. About 250 votes on it so far this morning, and it's just a middling return on the poll, but that's what it is. And we asked you which of these Jacksonville Jaguars, whose contracts all run through next year, is the most likely to still be with the team beyond next season. I think if you put the option of none of the above, that would probably win the poll, right? But right now, a little bit surprising because of his age compared to the other guys that Mitch Morse is winning the poll at 32.2%.
Yeah.
Saying he's the most likely guy. Now, all these guys would require an extension of their current contract or a reworking of their current contract and adding a year on to the end or more.
Fifth-year option in the case of Devin Lloyd. Yeah.
True. In the case of Devin Lloyd. But it would still be a modification to what he's got right now. I can't see him picking up the fifth-year option. I could see him letting it play out. I mean, that's me speaking with no say in the matter. Devin Lloyd getting 31% of the vote, by the way. Kirk getting 19%. 17.8% going with Travis Etienne, who, I mean, you could argue that outside of Lloyd, I think you could argue any of the other three, the offensive guys here, are the best player this year on that list. Like, I think Mitch Morse has come in and played pretty well. I don't think it was the best year of Christian Kirk's career, certainly, but I think Christian Kirk, if you ask Trevor Lawrence, has been a reliable target for him in his time here in Jacksonville. Travis Etienne should be the prime of his career now.
I think it's interesting, too, that Etienne and Christian Kirk were at least two of the guys that were being talked about a lot at the trade deadline, right? Like, I do think that's interesting when you're thinking about, beyond 2025, what does it look like for those two guys returning here? I think Kirk it creates a little bit more of a question mark with that to me, given what you have to pay wide receivers in the league right now compared to what you have to pay running backs. I do think that comes as a factor here. Like, Tank Bigsby is still going to be here for that year, right? Whenever this is happening, it's going to be Tank going into the final year of his rookie deal at that point in time, and they might be able to keep ETN and Tank Bigsby together on a relatively cost-effective deal, I would think, for ETN, because it's running back, right? And I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like for ETN when he's going to be available in free agency, what he might be getting offered from somewhere else, but he's a good enough player that I don't think that's a lock necessarily to think that, oh, you'll be able to keep him and keep him at a relatively cheap price. I don't think that's a lock because ETN's a pretty good player among the running backs, but I haven't looked at who's going to be available in 2026 at running back in free agency, or at least what that list looks like right now.
And those lists change anyway,
they
right?
do.
Veterans get released.
Absolutely. And I'm with you. I think it's unlikely that they pick up the fifth-year option on Devin Lloyd, but I don't think it's out of the question that they would pick up the fifth-year option on Lloyd.
I was reading something about Baltimore's front office, right? And all of this is colored by who's running the front office, right? Because if Trent Baalke's running the front office for another year, I think it's more likely that you go, well, yeah, we'll pick up the fifth-year option on Devin Lloyd, right? My pick.
Right.
That makes me look like I've made a pick that we want to keep around here a little bit longer. Now, they're all like his picks or signings, basically, right? Although, Travis Etienne was, I guess that was, you wonder how much influence Urban Meyer had on that initial draft, and how we would right now have Kadarius Toney if he had fallen to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, just another complete zero.
Yeah.
The Jags maybe got saved from themselves there. But I was reading this about Baltimore recently, and, Baltimore's had a track record over the last, 20 years at least, of being a well-run organization. And part of that is they hit on their picks at a pretty good rate, right? And sometimes you get a little bit lucky, and who knew that Lamar Jackson would be a multiple-time MVP? I mean, maybe you suspected it, but you know what I mean? Like, the fact that he fell where he fell, there are a lot of teams that had questions about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit lucky at times when things fall into your lap, but they were smart enough to take advantage of that opportunity. Jags took Taven Bryan at that same point when they could have had Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But they were being talked about in this piece about they're an organization that knows they're just not going to pay big money at certain positions, right? And that, like, the example was Patrick Queen. Good player, still a young player, and they just felt like that's not a position group we want to get over the top on because yes, edge rushers, if you got them, corners, offensive tackles, obviously the quarterback. Beyond that, you got to save money somewhere. I feel like based on what he's done up until this point, somebody's going to be willing to pay Devin Lloyd more money than I would probably be comfortable committing to him.
Sure.
Because I think Ventrell Miller's outplayed him this year.
I think it's, Chad Muma is a free agent that year too. And I think if I was trying to figure out which of those two guys do I think has a better chance to be back in Jacksonville in 2026, I would say Chad.
Because he's not going to be coveted.
He's not going to have a big market, and so the price isn't going to be exorbitant.
You know how he fits in.
Right. Ventrell's going to be one of the middle linebackers by that point, I would imagine. Let's hope.
Here's the other thing. Who's the defensive coordinator?
Yeah, we don't know.
What's the scheme?
We don't know.
How do they feel that these guys fit? Same with offense, for that matter.
Yeah, and given, it's just at some point in the draft, they'll probably draft another inside linebacker somewhere at some point. And so it's pretty easy to find inexpensive players, right, at some of these spots. And I think Devin Lloyd isn't a high-quality enough player that if there is a real price tag for him, that I'd be willing to pay it at this point.
I think he's got high-quality potential, as an athlete and what he's capable of doing physically. But he's, and there have been moments when you feel maybe he's starting to get there, right?
He feels like a pretty classic example of we'll probably get another year plus of what we've seen from Devin Lloyd to this point, and they'll say, no, thank you on the 5th-year option, next year, and they'll let him hit free agency, and he'll go somewhere, and he'll be somewhere getting 150 tackles, right?
Maybe.
And fans are going to be looking at it going, look, it's like, well, he was getting 135, 140 here.
And at what cost?
Yeah.
What is the investment you're going to have to make in him? And that's kind of what I'm going back to. Like, I feel like a well-run front office is going to look and go, look, we got to, at some point, we've got a huge quarterback contract, huge pass rusher contract, huge cornerback contract. We've got to be more economical at some of these other positions with guys who are not, Pro Bowl level difference makers. Yeah. And if Ventrell Miller can put up more numbers in terms of making plays, just simply making tackles, hits, getting the ball carriers in about half the snaps of Devin Lloyd, why would you want to pay a bunch of money when you've got a less expensive alternative already in-house?
And when you're talking about how much guys are going to cost at these different spots, that'll be after the 3rd year for Brian Thomas Jr. And we've seen the current state of wide receivers in the league is after year 3, you better be ready, right, to figure something out with these guys, or you face him, it'll be the Jamar Chase thing. When's he going to show up?
Right.
I'm not saying that that's what I want to see happen with Brian Thomas Jr., but at some point in that rookie deal, if he continues to play at this level and gets better, it'll become a bigger question. When he gets done with his 3rd year, a lot of people are going to be asking, when are you paying him? Right? Like the moment they walk off the field after he finishes his 3rd year, we're going to be asking, when are they going to pay him? Right, to keep him around long term. So that's going to be part of this too. I think Morse, I would hope that they have some plan that has been enacted between now and then for what they want to do at center. I think we've seen enough of Luke Fortner to know whatever hope you might have been holding on to that he could, the time off the field may help him develop into the center that they thought they might be getting in the 3rd round and played through his rookie year, he was all right. And then, well, at least compared to rookies, he was all right. Then his 2nd year, he got embarrassed, right? He just got beat up all year. Last week, when they played in Detroit, when he had to go on the field for the few snaps he was on, he was getting thrown into Mac Jones' feet over and over and over again. It's like, no better. He's no better than he's been. I don't expect him to get any better than he is now, so he's not long-term answer at center. I don't think Morse needs to be the long-term answer at center. I hope they have some more productive plan in place by the time we get to 2026.
Maybe, but I mean, and again, though, it doesn't have to be the long-term plan.
Sure.
Right? It could be just, hey, a stopgap kind of situation. I think you can't exclude Devin Lloyd from this because you can't exclude any of these guys because it could be a whole new, fresh set of eyes looking at the situation. And Devin Lloyd is younger than most of the guys on this list here. This from J.P. Shadrick moments ago is Doug Peterson just beginning his press conference. Trevor Lawrence will practice today, and then they'll see how his left shoulder is moving ahead, according to Doug Peterson.
And then he followed it up with it's a pain tolerance thing. So kind of the same thing what he said before.
Interesting, which, I mean, you got to answer that question, but at the same time, it kind of puts the onus on Trevor. Oh, it's a pain tolerance thing. Just don't carry your bag on that shoulder, and you should be fine, right?
Look, as I said, I think Coach saying anything in that kind of regard, like that kind of direction with Trevor Lawrence this morning makes me a little more confident that he plays this week, right? Like that's what that feels like to me. We'll see. Again, he's got to get through the week, and we'll see where he's at when we get to the end of the week. But I'm not saying I'm absolutely sure Trevor Lawrence is going to play, but if he had said nothing about it, I would have been like, nah, I don't think he'll play this week. But having said that, I think there's a real chance Trevor goes.
Doug Peterson added through J.P. Shadrick here on social media that they made the Jags some in-house changes, but will not share them publicly at this time. So,
okay.
Play calling? I mean, what in-house changes are we talking about?
I don't know.
Here.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, how much can you shuffle around at this point? And is this just done to placate the owner? All right, so tell me why I shouldn't fire a bunch of you. Well, here are the in-house changes we're going to make that are going to address these problems. And I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, Trevor Lawrence will practice today, and then they're going to assess, obviously, where he stands, which is if you're hoping for the Jags to play their best football down the stretch. And I get it if you're not, right? If you're like, hey, the season's lost. Now I just want to capitalize on getting the best draft pick possible and hopefully trading that into a bonanza. I totally understand that point of view, but the fact that he's out there, I wouldn't have surprised me saying, hey, you know what? Not going to practice today. We'll see how it goes as the week goes along. And then you kind of feel like, if he's not out there. So after a week off, he's going to go. There's no guarantee. We'll see how he feels after that, but that's where things stand at the moment as Doug Peterson is addressing the media live at this very moment. I'm sure you'll hear from him some of the thoughts of the head coach of the Jaguars coming up this afternoon on where things stand coming out of the bye week. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark will wrap things up on the other side. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Garber Auto Mall is home of a lifetime warranty. Every new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chevy, Buick, GMC, and Ford comes with a lifetime warranty. At Garber Auto Mall, your purchase is covered for life. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Bet live with Hard Rock Bet. Real-time wagering till the very last play. Missing the kickoff doesn't mean all bets are off.
Delay a game on the guy who hasn't bet yet.
Sometimes you just know your team is going to come back. The sportsbook for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Go to WM.com/Duval.
Dreamfinders Homes Monday.
Jaguars Today.
The holidays are just around the corner, and so is your entire family.
Babe, the toilet's growling at me again.
Uh-oh, the kitchen sink just turned into Old Faithful. There's no hot water!
Don't let plumbing chaos steal your holiday cheer. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to fix those issues before Aunt Linda blames you for ruining Christmas dinner. Duck Duck Rooter, your local plumbing pros. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
It's a sale so big, it's been over 40 years in the making.
It's Beard's Diamonds' incredible 44th anniversary sale. Everything store-wide is on sale, up to 44% off.
Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center or beardsdiamonds.com.
The time to buy an emergency generator is before you need it, not when you're sitting in the dark. Storms happen in a hurry in Florida, so be prepared. Protect your family and property with American Electrical Contracting. Call them today, 737-7770.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people. Any action?
Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
That's a big redfish, guys.
With Captain Kevin Faber.
Oh, my gosh.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
Jeff Lagerman here. Now that football season is here, make sure your ride can get to that tailgate or away game safely and dependably. You can trust the ASE certified professionals at any of the 27 independently owned Napa Auto Care Centers and the quality Napa parts they use. Napa Auto Care Centers can handle everything: oil changes, air conditioning, brakes, engines, transmissions, and more. Napa Auto Care offers a nationwide 24-month, 24,000-mile peace of mind warranty on most repairs. Find a Napa Auto Care Center near you. JacksNapaAutoCareGroup.com.
There's no way to prepare for the impact an accident makes on your life. That's why we've spent 40 years getting ready for that moment when you need compassion and immediate action. The right doctors, investigators, our team of experienced attorneys, and your free consultation is already in place. So if you've been hurt, remember, the Ferris Safety Net is right here to catch you. All you have to do is call Farah & Farah. It's what we built. Jacksonville.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey ham, melted cheddar and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Pride of the Jaguars running back, Fred Taylor, has been named a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Freddie T was a guest this morning of The Drill and was asked about what it means to be named a semifinalist for the 6th time.
I try not to look at it, but then when it happens, I'm like, all right, cool, as it should be. Obviously, the finals change. It doesn't matter if you made it to the finals the previous year or what have you. That can all change. I've seen where guys were finalists, and then the next year, barely a semifinalist, all that stuff. So I don't get overly excited. I thank God, and I keep pushing.
Fred Taylor on The Drill. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, this from Field Yates, Tony. He did math. He added things up, and he pointed out over the last 2 games, Saquon Barkley's got 500 yards. That's a lot.
It's not bad.
Ran for like 250, whatever, last night.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets have 460. You know where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What's their number? Can you get? You probably could put it together. I mean, it's low.
The Jaguars rushing in the last...
No, not rushing. Total offense. Total yards.
Offense in the last 2 games?
Yes. Saquon's got 500.
290.
313.
Okay.
So you really, really undercut them. Okay. Trevor Lawrence is back on the practice field today. We'll see how that all works out. Looking here, let me just get to where things stand with the poll results. Looks like, boy, almost a dead heat between. I think these guys are the 2 most likely. We didn't give our final answer on this, right? If Christian Kirk hadn't gotten hurt, according to the reports, there's a deal in place basically where he's going to go to Pittsburgh. Although I question some of that, right? Because if there really was a deal in place, why wouldn't Pittsburgh go, let's do this deal now, don't play him? Why are you going to roll the dice that he stays healthy for another week if that's a move you want to make, right? It didn't make a ton of sense from that standpoint. So I don't know if he would have been here or not.
Sure.
I could see a world where Christian Kirk wants to stay in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, where he's not like a hot commodity on the free agent market, because he hasn't put up, with the season-ending injuries back-to-back years, he's not exactly
you'd have to have a big
cruising
year
in. And maybe he
here.
will.
Yeah.
Maybe he will. I don't think it's Devin Lloyd just because they've got the in-house replacement. I might go Mitch Morse on this despite the age, and that's probably where I'd go. And honestly, and this is not an option in the poll, but if it were, I'd probably go none of them are here beyond 2025.
I would likely go none. I would rank it for me as most likely to return. I'd agree Morse would probably be at the top of that list by some really slim margin. I'd probably have ETN second on that list for me, then Kirk and Lloyd the least likely to be back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see. I don't know. What would it take to bring Travis Etienne back next year? There's so many factors that go into it, right? Where, how is Tank Bigsby playing? Is the team in a winning kind of trajectory? Let's put it that way.
Sure. Because
if you're not, and you invest in a running back, it's usually not the best investment, right? And people say, look at Saquon. Well, he went to a team that was already really good in Philadelphia that has an outstanding offensive line.
Like, he's doing a lot of the things that he did anytime he was on the field with the Giants. It just didn't matter.
Right.
Right? Like, it's not like Saquon is a totally different player than he was when he was the running back for the Giants. He's on a team right now that looks like it's ready to compete for an NFC championship. Right? Like, that's what Philadelphia looks like right now. He got added to that group. They were in a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. They just added Saquon Barkley to it. Why wouldn't it look great for Saquon Barkley? I think the two best offensive lines are in the NFC, and Philadelphia has one of them, and Detroit has the other.
Right.
Right? And I'm expecting a collision course in the NFC playoffs between those two teams the way it looks right now in an NFC championship, with one of them going to a Super Bowl. And they're both going to be able to do whatever they want to, running the ball. Like, I'm not surprised Saquon, look, he's got a chance to have a 2,000-yard season.
He's on pace to break the all-time single-season rushing mark
like he
after
needs
last night.
600 yards to get to 2,000, and he's got 6 games left?
Right. Whew. You would expect that he would get that, but a lot of things happen, too.
They do.
Down the stretch. Does Philly get locked in? I haven't really looked at the NFC playoff picture this deeply, but do they get locked into, like, the 2 seed? Right? And then if that's the case,
sure,
and you've got to play in the first round of the playoffs because Detroit's got the bye, are you going to back off using Saquon down the stretch?
Could be.
It makes a lot of sense to do that. A 2,000-yard season's a nice milestone. Getting back to the Super Bowl, I mean, that's kind of where that franchise is right now. That's the only, at least getting back there. I've heard a lot of talk that, that's not going to be good enough for Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles if they get back to the Super Bowl because they've been there recently and they've got to win it. Man, it's tough to get there.
Yeah.
It's tough to get back there. And we all sit here and go, oh, man, would I love for this? Would I love for that? Would I love to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, who Mike Tomlin has them 9 wins or better every year, but hasn't taken them deep into the playoffs in a long time.
They're a game behind Detroit right now in the NFC, obviously, with Detroit being 10-1, Philadelphia is 9-2. Detroit has a 1-game lead on Minnesota, a 2-game lead on Green Bay, right? So the North is still open for business as far as who's going to win it, but it does feel like Detroit's the best of those 3 teams right now in that division. You look at the difference between the 2 and the 3 seed in the NFC playoffs right now, that's Seattle. That's 6-5. They're 3 games behind the 2 seed right now.
And they're the 3.
They're the 3.
Well, because they're a division
Because it's a division champion, right? So you have the wild cards where Minnesota's 9-2. They're a game behind Detroit. Green Bay is 8-3. They're 2 games behind Detroit. And the Commanders are 7-5. So they're 2.5 games behind Philadelphia right now. And they only have 5 games left to play. They're trailing by 2.5 with 5 games left to play. Like, it does feel like Philadelphia is going to be the 1 or the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs. I mean, that's what it feels like right now. I can't imagine the 3 seed catching them at this point.
Right.
No one's making a run at that, and whoever wins the North is going to have a chance to be the 1 seed, but because of how chaotic that division could be with 3 good teams in it, they might slip to the 2 just on they're beating each other up a little bit down the stretch kind of thing. Like, that's still a possibility. No one's going to beat up the Eagles on the way down the stretch here, it doesn't look like to me.
No, Washington's fading at this point in time. And, if they didn't have that Hail Mary victory over Chicago, they'd be sitting there at 6-6 at the moment. And, the bloom has come off the Jaden Daniels rookie season rose to some degree at this point in time. He ended up having a lot of big stats yesterday, but, against the team that you should have big stats against and couldn't lead him to a win against the Dallas Cowboys and Cooper Rush.
And really only 2 tough-looking games remaining on the schedule in those last 6 for Philadelphia. They're at the Ravens next week. That's obviously tough. Then it's home against the Panthers. Then it's home against Pittsburgh. That's the other tough game on the schedule. Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. Like, they're not losing the last 2 weeks of the year. You know, like they're not losing to the Cowboys or the Giants.
You wouldn't think.
Yeah.
But it is the NFL, man. There's no way Kansas City's going to overtime with Carolina, right? I mean, it happens. So I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I would tend to agree that it's highly unlikely.
In a game like that wouldn't mean anything. I can't imagine they would lose that game.
Washington's very happy that it's still a 7-team playoff field because otherwise they'd be on the outside looking in. And, they're also lucky because Arizona, like that whole NFC West, maybe you could get a wild card out of there. San Fran is dead last right now at 5-6 and got beat down. And, much like I would imagine here, seeing Mac Jones play with this offense and what they're able to produce versus Trevor Lawrence, I would think Brock Purdy's stock is on the rise as well after seeing Brandon Allen. Although he's going out there with a broken finger on his left hand. He broke it taking a snap in practice, but they're hopeful that Purdy can play this week. That's their issue, man.
Yes, it is.
They are, how about this for the Niners, who are known for what? They're known for, a couple of things. Known for having a really good defense, right, or in recent years, and loaded with offensive playmakers. Their point differential is 0. They've scored 260. They've allowed 260. But wouldn't we like to be there? The Jags have scored 208. They've allowed 316 points for a negative 108 point differential. That's tied with Las Vegas as the worst in the AFC. Carolina is worse at negative 146, but they built that up early in the season. Like Vegas and the Jags are heading in the wrong direction, or at least have been. Carolina's at least shown some competitive fire at this point in time. I don't think they're a good team, but Bryce Young's trying to take advantage of every opportunity to give himself at least one more year to show that he might be the answer at quarterback for that football team. All right, it's about going to do it for us today. Final answer, I guess we both went with Mitch Morse by the narrowest of margins, which is what the poll is doing as well. And again, truth be told, I think there's going to be a lot of upheaval over the next couple of seasons, even regardless of who's running the front office.
Yeah.
And only one guy can answer who that's going to be, and that's Shad Khan. 32% going with Mitch Morse right now, 30.5% on Devin Lloyd. This is which of these guys who is most likely to still be with the team beyond next year. Travis Etienne edged ahead of Christian Kirk. 18 and change to 18 and change is where they're at right now. All right, that'll do it for us today. Jeff Logman will join us tomorrow. It won't be a check the tape Tuesday. It'll be a reflect on where things stand coming out of the bye week Tuesday, and hopefully we'll have a report on how Trevor Lawrence performs in practice. He will practice today. That is the big news of the morning, and the Jags will see how he does and take it from there at this point in time as to whether or not he's going to be able to go this weekend. I put it this, I think if he doesn't play against Houston, I think it's all up in the air, right? Because if you lose that game and you're eliminated, I get it. We're sitting here saying he's a competitor. He wants to play. Will the organization put him in that position down the stretch if there's nothing that can be achieved in terms of making a miracle postseason run? Not that anyone expects it to be a miracle postseason run for the Jags, but until they're officially eliminated, they at least have to think that way. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for listening in. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, David Garrard had the day off. DG will be back with us next week. We'll be back tomorrow, not checking the tape, but checking the current state of affairs with your Jacksonville Jaguars with Jeff Loggeman. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Happy holiday from Holiday.